Well, forget about crime, inflation, taxes, illegal immigration. No. The big topic for 2024 is January 6th. I kid you not, folks. January 6th. That's going to be the number one issue for 2024. And you could see it today on the Sunday shows. So there's an article in NBC I want to share with you. Welcome back to the channel, Culture Confederacy. Here it's Sunday night. Welcome to 2024. Seems like Christmas was ages ago. And thank you for subscribing, being a part of this thing we call the Culture Confederacy. As you know, it's a pleasure to bring these videos to you, to do this. I have a lot of fun doing this channel. So here are the headlines that are out there about this. It's gotten to the point where they're doing polls. CBS just conducted a poll. It's a YouGov poll. Do you approve of what happened January 6th? Do you disapprove? And they break it down with MAGA supporters and non-MAGA. And within MAGA. So over at The Guardian, January 6th never ended. Alarm at Trump pardon pledge for Capitol insurrectionist. Well, it wasn't an insurrection. It was a rally that got out of hand because there wasn't enough security to handle the crowd. And I can damn well guarantee you there were probably some federal agents in the crowd just making sure people were being kept in check. But I think what really happened is you had some people who infiltrated the crowd, who posed as Trump supporters to kind of egg on the crowd. And then things got out of hand. And then they didn't know how to handle it. That's what happened. So it wasn't an insurrection, it wasn't a rebellion. It was a rally that got out of hand because you didn't have enough security to handle the crowd. End of story. And I dare CBS, NBC, ABC, MSNBC to come to my channel and debate me about that. Please, by all means, do. Over at Axios, how the Republican Party memory hold January 6th is now a memory hold. CBS News poll on January 6th attack. 3 years later, the most still condemned Republican disapproval continues to wane. So those are some of the headlines that are out there about this. So here's the article at NBC, why Trump can't use the idiot defense other Jan 6 defendants often lean on. Now this came out January 5th. This is a story by Ryan J. Riley. So I'll just read part of the article to you here. In court filings and sentencing memos, lawyers defending January 6 rioters have argued that their clients were duped and manipulated. Now, the words they use here, duped, manipulated, those all have links to them. Oh, but it gets juicy. I'll get to this here in a moment. That they were poorly educated, had low IQs, that's also something you can link to, and lacked critical thinking skills. They wanted former President Donald Trump's quote-unquote respect and approval and thought they were following presidential orders. Following presidential orders. I'm following presidential orders. There you go, following presidential orders. But following presidential orders. So, you click on this link for presidential orders, and it's a story about, let me see what this guy's name is here, Dustin Thompson. I'm reading my notes as I'm doing this here. Dustin Thompson. Poorly educated, low IQ. Well, it turns out that Dustin Thompson graduated from Ohio State in 2008, and then he worked at a pawn shop and as an exterminator before he got laid off in 2020 due to the pandemic. So these lawyers are arguing on behalf of these clients that they were duped, they were manipulated, they were following presidential orders. Some January 6 defendants have even called themselves idiots, lamenting that they were credulous enough to have fallen for what they now see as obvious lies. Obvious lies. Now, when you go to this story, like on this part that says following presidential orders, and it talks about Dustin Thompson, he apparently stole a bottle of liquor and a clothes rack from the Capitol building. First of all, I'd like to know, what is a bottle of liquor doing in the U.S. Capitol? I thought my taxes were paying you people to go there and do the job of the American people. If that's the case, we should all just secede right now. In fact, I'm going to secede right now from everybody. I'm just going to close myself in my little man cave, my own little world. The hell with the rest of you. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking, folks. I'm just joking. So that's the truth about Dustin Thompson. Now, he told jurors that he was deeply ashamed and went down the rabbit hole of the internet. The rabbit hole of the internet. The internet is evil. It's really evil. You should not be on the internet because it's evil, because you have channels like this one here called Culture Confederacy, which might have some hidden message about white supremacy. When we're about culture and history preservation, not taking down everything you disagree with, supporting great art, great music, culture. Now, his attorney claims that Thompson was vulnerable and believed Trump's lies, his lies about the 2020 election. So it goes on to say here at this NBC article, the strategy appears to have an impact in some cases, with judges agreeing to more lenient sentences, particularly in cases in which defendants appear genuinely remorseful for their conduct and regret that they were so gullible. They just didn't know how to think for themselves. They have low IQ. They didn't know what they were doing. Hello, Twinkie defense. But it's hard to see the same approach working for Trump, who famously called himself, quote, a very stable genius, and you can click on that link as well, as his own Jan 6 trial nears. In court filings in connection with special counsel Jack Smith's election interference case, and now it's coming out that Jack Smith may have not been appointed by, how shall we say, legal means? I didn't say that. Somebody else is reporting that. Which could go to trial as soon as March. Trump's lawyers have gone the opposite route, attempting to give an intellectual spit shine to his lies about mass voter fraud in the 2020 election. Trump's worries about election fraud were not knowingly false, they've written, but were, quote, plausible and maintained in good faith. Here's the deal, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, CBS. Whether you agree with Trump or not, he does have a constitutional right as a candidate, and I didn't vote for Trump, I've said that several times on the channel. He does have a right to protest the results of an election. And show me where he specifically put out a presidential order that told Dustin Thompson to go into the Capitol building, raid the Capitol building, steal a coat rack and a bottle of liquor. And why was that bottle of liquor in the Capitol to begin with? Nobody knows, but he's guilty of insurrection, rebellion, and following presidential orders. Chop, chop, somebody better get on this. And they're still trying to figure out what happened to the bomber, the guy who planted those pipe bombs. Remember that one? He was dressed in a hoodie and, I guess, Nike sneakers. Nobody knows who this person is. Nobody knows why they were there. Apparently, they planted these pipe bombs like the day before, the night before, but they've never been seen since. And now they found 3 fugitives in Florida, I believe it was. There's a story out there about that. So as we continue here, they said that reasonable concerns about the integrity of the 2020 election exist, and it was not unreasonable at the time, and certainly not criminal, for President Trump to disagree with officials now favored by the prosecution and to rely instead on the independent judgment that the American people elected him to use. So President Trump at the time believed that the election was stolen. I didn't say that. This was what President Trump believed. He honestly believed this. Whether you agree with that or not, he honestly believed this. And they're making the case here, his attorneys, that he did this in good faith. I mean, if this were truly an insurrection, like I said, show me these presidential orders that specifically told this person or that person to go into the Capitol building and smash windows, steal a coat rack and a bottle of liquor, which shouldn't have been there to begin with. Show me any evidence of that. Bet you can't find it. But somehow Trump is guilty of insurrection. And the funny thing is, there's nothing mentioned in the news about the riots in 2020. Was that not an insurrection? I'm just asking. Or in 2016, when everybody looted and rioted and protested on the left because Trump got elected in 2016? Who do you think you people are fooling? Well, you ain't fooling me. In a filing to the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia this week, Trump's attorneys went further, writing that, quote, there are vigorous disputes and questions about the actual outcome of the 2020 presidential election, disputes that date back to November 2020, which continue to this day in our nation's political discourse and are based on extensive information about widespread fraud and irregularities in the 2020 election. Can't get the words out again. So this is at NBC News. So according to the attorneys for these Jan 6 defendants, they were duped. They have low IQs. They were following presidential orders, even though no presidential order was ever issued by Trump to go raid the Capitol building and steal a bottle of liquor and a coat rack or smash windows. Even though Dustin Thompson graduated in 2008 from Ohio State, but somehow he ended up working at a pawn shop and as an exterminator. Now, I understand times are tough. And sometimes you'll pick up extra work where you can. But you go from graduating at a major university like Ohio State to working at a pawn shop and being an exterminator, really? Now, unless you own your own exterminating business, that's what you want to do. But seriously? Maybe somebody should investigate this over here at YouTube. I don't know. I'm just saying. So let's get to this poll at CBS, because this is just too funny. So here are the results. This YouGov poll. January 6 actions of those who forced their way into the Capitol. 22% approve, 22%. 78% disapprove. Now, when they break this down by Republicans, 21% approve, 30% now. Disapproval somewhat from January 2021. So they go back to January 2021 to now. So in 2021, 21% approved, 30% now approved. Disapproved somewhat, 28% in January 2021, compared to 38% now. Strongly disapproved, 51% in 2021, compared to 32% now. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. When they break this down between MAGA and non-MAGA supporters, 43% of MAGA approve, 22% of non-MAGA people approve of this quote-unquote insurrection. But 57% of MAGA supporters disapprove, did not agree with the riot at the Capitol. But 79% of non-MAGA didn't agree with it. Well, wait a minute. So if these were all insurrectionists, they're all following marching orders from Trump, how is it that you have 57% of his supporters who didn't approve of what happened January 6, 2021? Please explain that to me. Please explain it to me. So I thought I'd share this with you today, this article, NBC. Again, an article talking about how Trump cannot use the idiot defense. And then we have this poll here at CBS, this YouGov poll, where you have 57% of MAGA supporters who did not approve of what happened January 6, 2021. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or you can find me at X, Culture Confederacy, at CultureConfed1 on X. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing called the United States. And you know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time, and y'all have a great Sunday night.